Welcome to Paranormal Almanac with your host, Kurt Sandvik. Right. This is another Paranormal Hodge Podge episode. I'm your host, Kurt Sandvik, and welcome to Paranormal Almanac. But first, as always, we got shout-outs. Shout-outs going out to the patrons. Now, I've been trying to set up, just to give patrons, and I guess everybody, an update. I've been trying to set up some live shows for both the patrons and the regular ones. Here comes the problem. StreamYard, who I used to use for all of my live shows, is no longer $10 a month, which I was like, I can kind of do that. That's fine, whatever. No, it's $50 a month for the bare minimum plan now. So I'm trying to shop around and find a StreamYard alternative. There's a new company that's up and coming, I guess, that says they do everything that StreamYard does, and it's free to test it out for a few months. So I emailed them. Hopefully they get back to me so I can actually start doing some live episodes, because I'm here. I'm at the new apartment. I'm in. There's nothing really stopping me from doing live episodes other than I need a place to do them. And so I need a StreamYard type service. Hold on, Rum wants to say hi. Hi, sweetheart. How you doing, beautiful? Come here. She doesn't want to jump on my lap because it is 96 degrees out at 7 o'clock at night. But we got shout-outs. Let me get to the shout-outs first. All right, let's go to shout-outs to Naughty Innuendo, which I gotta say is the best kind of innuendo. If you're gonna have an innuendo, it better be naughty. Jen, Danny Darkcipher from Australia. I want to turn that up. That's better. Sarah Jane, Angie, Lisa, The Curious Hedgehog, Diana, Mr. J, George, Casey the Pitbull. I want to like an aw. I love Casey the Pitbull. Debbie, Corey, GC, Tracy. Tracy's killing it, man. If you're not following Tracy on TikTok, you got to figure out how to do so. She's a TikTok star on the rise. Newt MacGyver on it. Be melty. You know what? Be melty. I am melty. I'm very melty. Avril, Loch Ness, not a monster. Stacy, JT, Johnny the Pommy, Leviathan, Stygian. Johnny the Pommy, isn't it? It's wintertime. Wait, it's wintertime for you and for Danny Darkcipher. So you guys are chilling in the wintertime while the rest of us are being melty. Stacy, Leviathan, Stygian, hey, howdy, hi, Chani the Pommy, JT, Doogie Whore, Mike G. Oh, Chani the Pommy, real quick. Chani the Pommy sent me a while ago this really cool Maori thing for, I believe it was Maori. God, I hope that's right. If not, I'm such a jerk. For my tiki bar. And I had the first batch of friends over to the new tiki bar at the apartment. And immediately someone's like, hey, what's that? That thing's cool. And I was like, oh, my God, wait. And I took it down off because it's right behind the bar. So I took it down on the wall from behind the bar. And they were like, dude, this thing's rad. I'm like, right? So Chani the Pommy, thank you again. JT, Doogie Whore, Mike G, Tracy B, Jeff, Richard, Alec, Karen, Duran, Lori, Rebecca, Ann, Stephen Scher, hey, howdy, hi, Jane Ann, Jennifer, Heather G, your friendly neighborhood skinwalker. Zuzus, what's it? Nico Share in the Mouse. Hey, howdy, hi. Andrew, Mark and Tina, Tortuga, JB, Andy, Virginia Mailman, Tony, the Magician, Vicky, Crow, Lobita Works, Isabel, Jen, Tracy, Kick-Ass Magic Robot Webcomic, Sandy, Paige, Kaush, Scott, Andrea, Melody, Vanessa. If I was the devil. Still not loud enough. Maybe I'll turn it up. Maybe it's just my speakers. Let me try that again, but now that speakers are up. If I was the devil. Yeah, it's just me. It was my speakers. Okay, good. We're back. I'm back. All right. Let's see. Elizabeth, Sherry, hey, howdy, hi. Art Muffin, Tim, hey, buddy. East Clintwood, I said it right. Kenneth, Alexandra, Zozo the Demon. Hayden, Cindy, Ashley, Robin, Lauren, Russell, Isabel, Audra, Dorian, Cindy, Paula, Jerry, Jeff T, Lawrence, the Lawrence Strawn, Veronica, Autumn, Carolyn, Nanashi, Todd, Jamie, and Elijah Hendrickson, Dan, Laura Pitts, and the one, the only, Gamer Fan. Now, I've got the two special shout-outs that I always do to Joe Teague and to my boy Stitch, always and forever. But I have another special shout-out to Russ. Russ sent me an amazing package that is just Bigfoot to the T, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's an awesome this is an awesome Bigfoot. And then freaking Ringo Starr pins from the tour. That was cool and surprising as hell, and I really needed it. I had a rough day that day. I'll tell you the real quick story. I was having a rough time of it, dealing with, losing thousands of dollars to a nightmare landlady and legal nonsenses, and this has been an expensive move for me, and I just got the brunt of how much it was going to cost me, and it was brutally bad. And then I got this awesome package. So Russ, I gotta say, man, you perfect timing. You made my day. All right, let's get right on into paranormal news, because I got about 20 minutes left, maybe, on my dinner that's cooking right now. So when the timer goes off, I will pause for a minute. You guys probably won't even know it. I don't know why I'm telling this. It's behind the curtain stuff. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Here we go.
Paranormal news. There was this one night we were out in the field, and suddenly there was this incredibly bright light descending from the sky. Next thing we knew, we were in this big white road, and standing in front of me was this slimy two-legged creature with these wide lizard-like eyes across its face.
That's right, paranormal news. The first, oh my God, I almost just hit unrecord. That would have sucked. The first story in paranormal news is a bizarre one. I don't know if it's necessarily paranormal, but I mean, it's cool. You have an invisible light that vanishes when you die. Science confirms. That's right, a new study suggests that living creatures, including humans, emit an ultra-faint glow of visible light that disappears at the moment of death. It's not an aura, it's not magic, and it's not a TikTok wellness trend, it says. It's photons, and science just caught them in the act. Researchers from the University of Calgary and the National Research Council of Canada published findings in the Journal of Physical Chemistry letters detailing their investigation into ultra-weak photon emissions. That's right, you got youps in ya. These are faint flashes of visible light that living cells release, possibly as a byproduct of stress-related chemical reactions inside the body. Then they talk about a horrible thing where they killed some mice and then watched it. But they said the phenomenon isn't new, but the whole body measurement is. Previous research has shown that individual tissues can emit photons due to an oxidative stress, like when cells are damaged by heat, toxins, or pathogens. And then it goes on to a lot more way neat kind of chemical stuff that I don't understand. But they said, remember, this isn't some mystical aura. It's a reminder that the line between life and death isn't always as invisible as we think. Sometimes it fades one photon at a time. That's cool. I mean, they said it wasn't a new thing, but I never knew this one. That's kind of cool. I got a light. We all precious little lights that are blinking out as we're killed. Up next in Paranormal News, this one shouldn't come as a surprise if you listen to my episode about Marilyn Monroe. I did it a number of episodes back. You can find it. Just search for it. The coroner who performed Marilyn Monroe's autopsy reveals shocking new details about a botched exam. That's right, the coroner, apparently I can't say coroner anymore. The coroner who performed the autopsy on Marilyn Monroe is breaking his 63-year silence to reveal he never agreed that the cause of her death was suicide, and was even prohibited from probing into whether the tragic blonde bombshell was murdered, possibly to silence her from spilling her secrets about the Kennedy family. That's huge. It's not a shock. Like I said, if you listen to the episode I did about her botched everything that happened to her after she was found dead, It's not a surprise, but the fact that this guy is finally speaking out about it after 63 years, that's crazy cool. You can go find it if you want to hear all of the details. I'm trying to keep this stuff kind of like at a high level because we got a lot to get to. Up next in Paranormal News, First Contact fears as alien object speeds towards Earth. That's right. We're talking about that Atlas III thing that's going to hit in November that's going to kill us all. That's obviously 100% a UFO, even though there's very little evidence of that. It's called 31 Atlas. And again, Avi Loeb is just talking to anybody who will listen, saying it's probably a hostile extraterrestrial technology. He says it's an unusual size, unusual acceleration, unusual course, and unusual behavior. Those things combined very closely match a sort of mapping or survey mission. Of course, this could turn out to be just a comet or an asteroid, albeit an interstellar one, so interesting and incredibly rare. Look, it is incredibly rare. It's lighting up like a comet lights up, but Avi Loeb's like, oh, no, you can't see the tail. Well, yeah, it's facing us. It's coming right at us, buddy. We're not going to see the tail. I'm not trying to slam Avi Loeb. I love him, and I'd love to have him on the show. But there's very little evidence other than you keeping yourself in the news about it. He says, the good thing is this is a testable hypothesis. The clock is ticking down. We'll know soon enough whether we're dealing with first contact or just a big rock. He said, all right, here's the 6 key theories that are proposed by Harvard experts. 1, it's too large to be an asteroid. Okay. 2, its rate of acceleration seems unusual for a natural object. I mean, it's moving fast. Don't get me wrong. It's traveling at 130,000 miles per hour. It is moving fast, but it's a rare visitor from another solar system. Who knows what it just got flung by that increased its speed? Number 3, we spotted it very late. This was because it was coming in from the center of the galaxy where there are lots of obstacles, lights, and stars. If you want to covertly send a probe into our solar system, this is exactly the course you would choose. All right, how about we don't tell them that? Because they can hear our radio signals and TV signals. Don't tell them exactly how to do that. Number 4, its course makes it very hard to intercept. Sure. Number 5, it's passing close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. This is likely a mapping or survey mission. There is a very low probability of that happening naturally. The report suggests close to 0.005%. That is statistically minute. Okay, I got problems with that, but we'll continue on. Number 6, we won't see it. At its closest approach, the sun will be between the Earth and the Atlas, so we won't be able to see it. Well, that's a shitty flyby if it really is a survey mission. Are you wanting to see the Earth? And look, don't get me wrong. Don't come to Earth. If you can hear this, you're on 31 Atlas, whatever it's called. What is it, 31 Atlas? Yeah, if you're on 31 Atlas and you're listening to my podcast right now, first, thank you. Special shout out to you. Second, don't come to Earth. Just fly by. There's nothing good here right now. Just go. Just keep on going. Dogs are pretty good, but don't take dogs because I want to keep mine. So yeah, it's coming. It's still coming. It's coming at us. It's gonna be here by November. So get your shit in order by November is what I'm saying. Up next in Paranormal News, mysterious UFO caught hovering over Disney World before vanishing into the darkness. That's right, Morgan Hulsman, digital director of the Bobby Bones Show and a Tennessee resident, told the radio show that she and her boyfriend were sitting on a patio waiting for the fireworks when a very bright light suddenly appeared. After searching online and finding no information about drones or satellites in the area, she described it as a UFO. Definitely a UFO with aliens. Okay, again, you can't say, I saw a bright light, I don't know what it was, but it's definitely a UFO with aliens. It's definitely a UFO, sure, but you can't add the with aliens part. The video she captured quickly spread online, sparking speculation from social media viewers. One noted that it was a rocket launch from nearby Cape Canaveral that had occurred earlier that week. That could explain the sighting. They said it was never moving. The clip shows a bright light hovering over her head in the black night sky. However, it is unclear whether the object is moving. I can't find the video. I can only find just the one photo, and it's just, oh wait, nope, I take that back. It's at the very, very bottom. All right, let's watch. It's the moon. It looks like the moon. It's not moving. because whatever is lighting towards the bottom of the screen is in the exact same spot the entire time. So the object is not moving. All right, enough with the damn music. I don't know. It's a moon. It's a planet. It's Venus. It's something very natural in the sky. You zooming in doesn't mean it's moving. Nope. I call BS. It was a planet or the moon or something. Alrighty, up next in paranormal news. This is a fun one. MIT predicted the collapse of today's society back in 1972. Guess what, everybody? We're on track. We're going to do it. That's right. MIT's 1972 World 3 model was strikingly accurate based on modern data. The 1972 model, called World 3, was created in the 70s using empirical data, and it was published in a book called Limits to Growth. Essentially, the model aimed to answer the question of what would happen if humanity kept pursuing economic growth no matter the societal and environmental cost. It concluded that without drastic change, industrial society was headed for collapse. So we did it, everybody. We're on track. Good job. Way to go. Tell your neighbors. All right, I'm going to continue on because I want to get to some other stories. There's a lot of them. Up next in paranormal news, one of the most recent, there's 3 insanely recent as of yesterday or today stories in paranormal news. This one, an unidentified flying object has crashed and exploded in Poland's east. That's right, from Warsaw, Poland, an unidentified flying object crashed into a cornfield and exploded in eastern Poland early Wednesday, the country news agency PAP reported. Local police said they received reports of the crash around 2 a.m. and found burned metal and plastic debris at the scene near the village of Osiny. As a result of the explosion, windows were broken in some houses, but nobody was injured. The Air Force said that they had no violations of Polish airspace from neighboring Ukraine or Belarus. They don't know what it was, but they do say it was metal and plastic, so I'm guessing man-made and probably nothing good. It's probably a drone, sadly, from the war. Alrighty, up next in paranormal news. If you're in New York, there's a fair that you're going to want to go because they say there could be anything out there because fairgoers have a rare chance to see Bigfoot. That's right, Getty's, New York. Here's a first for the New York State Fair. You have a chance to see Bigfoot. The man who found the creature said Bigfoot has been roaming around the Adirondacks for the last 12 years, according to Charles Snake Stewart. He said Bigfoot is real, and his proof is named Dak. That's right, he named the Bigfoot Dak. D-A-C-K. I started shooting audio in the woods of howls, and I started getting howls back. That's when the spine started tingling, and that's when I knew we had something more definitive out there. Then, when camping with some friends, Stuart made the life-changing discovery. I smelled something really pungent. I followed my nose deeper, 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 and then bam! Bigfoot's body. It was 8 foot long in a poison ivy patch. It was stinky, and I had to call some friends to get it out of the woods. It was decomposing rapidly. He said he found the Bigfoot north of Old Forge. He also has other pieces of evidence, like a fur sample and footprints from the day he found Dak. There may have been 2 Bigfoots battling. It could have been something with a mating ritual. It could have been 2 males. We don't know what transpired, but there were definitely 2 at the site. If there are multiple Bigfoots out there, I need to know if other urban legends could be true, says the reporter. If I got Bigfoot, let me tell you, brother, there could be anything out there. I want to see Dak. Somebody, please, has to be going to the fairgrounds. Hold on, is this him? This might be him. I gotta hear what this guy sounds like because he said brother. Like, all right, let's
State Fair. Your chance to see for yourself the mysterious, elusive Bigfoot. I affectionately call him Sasquatch.
At least a gentleman who claims to have found what he says is Bigfoot. I don't know, says he's been walking around the Adirondacks for 12 years. I've been to the Adirondacks, never seen him.
I've been searching for him for years.
Oh, yeah,
Jeremy Skiba. Yeah, seriously, I'm a huge fan.
Wow.
Did you check out my bumper sticker on my car? Jeremy Skiba.
Okay.
Found him. Let's take a look.
But then if Bigfoot does exist, what is it? Where does it come from?
It's a question not only William Shatner ponders, but so have I. Is Bigfoot real? According to Snake Stewart, he is, and his proof is named Dak.
I was shooting audio into the woods of howls, and I started getting howls back. That's when the spine started tingling, and I knew we had something more definitive out there.
Then, when camping with some friends, Snake made the life-changing discovery.
I smelled something real pungent. I follow my nose deeper, deeper, and bam! Bigfoot's body, 8 foot long in a poison ivy patch. It was so stinky. I had to call up some friends to help me get this body out of the woods. It was decomposing quite rapidly.
Snake says he found this Bigfoot north of Old Forge. Now I'll take a Bigfoot of my own over here, where there's also pieces of evidence, such as this fur sample and the footprint from the day.
Okay, the footprint is the worst casting of a footprint I've ever seen. The costume, or the Bigfoot, sorry, is a costume that's barely stuffed with something inside it. It's not even like on a mannequin or something. This is classic, like Barnum and Bailey, like nonsense. It's not even like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 10, there were 2 guys that found Bigfoot's body and they froze him in a block of ice in a freezer, and then they auctioned that off, and everybody's like, oh my God, we're going to defrost it, and we're going to have Bigfoot. And then they defrosted it. It was a Bigfoot costume with nothing inside it. It looks like it's the exact same costume. But, hey, if you're in New York, still go see it. Take some close-up photos of me, for me, not of me. I won't be there, I wish, for me, because I'd like to get a closer look at this Bigfoot. I'm going to keep an eye on the social medias and see if I can get a close-up photo of this thing. But to me, it's a costume. All righty, this one came today. Oklahoma motorist reports seeing possible Sasquatch crossing a river. That's right, a motorist crossing a bridge in Oklahoma was stunned when he looked down at the river below and spotted what appeared to be a Sasquatch. Let's see. Jeff Powers was driving along a highway at a point where the road turns into a bridge over the Canadian River. He gazed over at the water and noticed a very large black figure walking across the river. Hold on, I'll be right back. I warned you. We are back. All righty. Finally, in paranormal news. No, there's 2 more. Next up in paranormal news. Was Bigfoot just spotted in Maine? Again, another one from today. A couple reported seeing a Sasquatch near Grafton Notch State Park in early August, though. They just reported it today on the BFRO. They said that a couple reported seeing a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, same thing, close to Grafton Notch State Park near Newry, Maine on August 2nd. According to the woman who reported the sighting, she and her husband had spent all day hiking and visiting the waterfalls in the area. As they were leaving Steep Falls Preserve near Grafton Notch State Park at around 1:20 p.m., she saw a large brown biped came out of the woods and ran across the street. It was pretty large, all brown and moving very quickly. One thing to note is the way it carried its arms almost behind it as it ran, which seemed odd and unhuman-like. They reportedly weren't the only ones who saw it. She said a car in front of them was closer to the creature and had to brake. The couple drove to where they spotted the creature but found nothing. At the spot where the figure crossed, it's fully outside of the park, no parking lots, sidewalks, or any place someone would have gone other than directly into the woods. She went on to describe the creature as standing between 8 and 9 feet tall. She said it had a large head, a muscular build. She said it was even at a distance that they were behind the other car. The creature leaning forward towered over the Subaru-type vehicle ahead of him. She said what stood out was the height of the creature, the odd nature of how the creature ran with its long arms held behind it, and how fast and smoothly it crossed the road. All right, that's cool. And then finally, I think it is, finally in paranormal news, Nauticos reveals breakthrough data and announces new expedition to locate Amelia Earhart's plane. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Island Nikamaruru, I'm telling you now. Let's see if that's where they're going. After extensive restoration and analysis of an identical radio system used by Earhart and Noonan, Nauticos has determined their approximate location at 8 a.m. on the day they vanished. This groundbreaking discovery significantly refines the search near Howland Island, the intended destination of Earhart's ill-fated flight. Oh, wait, near Howland Island. So maybe not. Our latest radio communication analysis is a major leap forward in solving one of the most enduring mysteries of aviation history. We've narrowed the search area dramatically, and this new expedition presents our best chance yet to locate Amelia Earhart's plane. Well, now I got to find out. Howland Island, is that... Hold on. Is that Nikamaruru? All right, let's do directions from that, and then do Nikamaruru. Where the hell's Howland Island? All right, there's Nikamaruru. Where the fuck is Howland then? Ah, there we go. So it's not Nikamaruru. It's actually an island that's like a little bit northwest of Nikamaruru. Now, I mean, look, I hope they find it. Don't get me wrong, but I personally think that all the sightings of the planes that were seen on Nikamaruru back when it happened, it's going to end up being Nikamaruru. But, you know, prove me wrong, guys. Here you go, Nauticus. Prove me wrong, and I will apologize profusely to you. All right, before we get into this episode, I thought, you know, hey, it's been 8 months into this year. I keep seeing things in the news that I go, huh, I predicted that on the New Year's episode, the prediction episode for 2025. So here are just a few of the predictions I got right. Ozzy dying, volcanoes, earthquakes, Elon and Trump breaking up, a beloved children's show star will die. And everybody was like, well, I don't know what that one is. No, it was Miss Yvonne from Pee-wee's Playhouse, 100%. Beloved by everybody who ever met her and a bunch of people that didn't. And what even more were correctly predicted by me. So I'm excited for the end of the year where I go back over 2025 predictions and make 2026 predictions because, again, hopefully somebody starts catching on to this. I am hitting more accurate predictions than top celebrity psychics, which I think is hilarious because I'm just guessing my ass off. But there you go. Something's there. Alrighty. Quick update on the 300th episode. Sorry, I had to take a bite of my dinner. Ooh, that's good. The 300th episode. It's not looking good, people. I've had 3 celebrities drop out from the 300th, and I'm not having any luck getting replacement celebrities. Look, I'm not giving up on the 300. If it's just going to be me talking for 9 hours and then doing live stuff from different haunted venues, so be it. I have asked a variety of new celebrities if they would like to come on the show. I've not heard back yet. Fingers crossed. I've talked to Jamie and Todd, Jamie and Elijah Hendrickson, about possibly doing a little paranormal field trip and recording part of the episode at least a couple of real haunted locations. I thought that would be fun. It's definitely in the cards. But as of right now, look, I got time. Don't worry. Again, if the only thing that happens for the 300th is just me babbling for 9 hours, then so be it. But just know this is a tough one. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. All righty. Let me take a quick break. We'll be right back. We are back. That's right. Oops, sorry. There we go. We are back. I had to take a quick mini dinner break. My food was ready, and I've never had it before, and it's really good. Anyhow, it's a vegetarian sausage roll, in case anybody was wondering. You weren't, so let me continue on. We're back, and in this edition, I wanted to do a bizarre but true stories episode, but I wanted to do it in a paranormal Hodge Podge type of episode. Some of the most bizarre paranormal true stories, because this is the kind of stuff that I like to read about before bed. You know, this is the kind of stuff, a lot of them are quick stories, but it's the kind of stuff that I really dig. They're very bizarre. I've looked into them, so there is at least a grain of salt of truth to them. And I was like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I dig. Why don't I just share with you guys some of the stuff that I went, whoa, that's weird. I got to remember that one for an episode. So first up, let's go way back to 1913, when Royal Flying Corps Lieutenant Desmond Arthur was fatally crashed his plane during a routine training exercise at an airbase in Montrose, Scotland. And in case you didn't know or didn't understand the word fatally, he died. But it's not the end of his story, because soldiers started hearing mysterious footsteps, which are the worst kind of footsteps you can hear. Way worse than tap dancing footsteps, in my opinion. And they also started hearing phantom plane noises. Okay, but why do they think it was Desmond? Well, give me a minute. It's the first story of the episode. You're already pushing me to go quicker. Well, they also started to see a ghostly figure of Desmond himself. That's right, one pilot said he saw a fellow soldier in flight gear walk to the door of their mess hall, only to disappear without entering. Well, a flight instructor said he woke up in the middle of the night and saw a pilot sitting in his chair by his bed that looked like Desmond. Now, I will say I couldn't find anywhere if Desmond used to, watch this guy in his sleep when Desmond was alive. But since he's dead, let's just say, yeah, that's what Desmond loved to do, and this guy is now seeing Desmond's ghost do it. So, as Ghost Desmond is being seen, an investigation is also being done into the cause of his fatal crash, which was initially ruled as recklessness on behalf of the pilot, but more and more people kept seeing Ghost Desmond. One said that Desmond appeared in his room and tried to speak to him, but couldn't make any sound. Then, the investigation into his death is finished, and it was determined that the plane was at fault, and it happened to a number of these types of early fighter planes. And then that's it. His ghost made his final appearance. Well, final as of this recording, because Desmond, if you're listening, I need you for the 300th episode. So Desmond appeared in front of 3 of his old comrades, smiling at each of them before vanishing. See? Bizarre but true. I dig it. Alrighty, up next, let's go way, 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 way back, even further, to 1827, when Maria Martin and William Corder had arranged to elope. As you guys, if you're a regular listener, I'm sure you guys are guessing right now, shit's going to go bad. She gonna die. So they agreed to meet at the Red Barn in Suffolk, England. They meet up and, let's skip ahead a little bit. William leaves town after they met up, but no one saw Maria leave with them. The family would write to Maria, and he would write back saying, Maria can't write back right now because, she was sick. She had hurt her hand. The post office must have lost her letter. She's busy binging Netflix, which really should have tipped off her family because Netflix was really hard to get back in 1897. Almost nobody had it. But presumably, he said that at one point that Maria simply, quote, needed a break from the strenuous, attention-sucking world of snail mail, and did not want to write back to her family. So a few months go by, and her parents start thinking, I think something's wrong with Maria. And that's when her stepmother began having troubling dreams in which Maria was murdered and buried in the Red Barn. So she keeps having more and more of these dreams. She finally convinces her husband, look, you gotta search the Red Barn. Which, hopefully not a surprise to any of you, yep, they find Maria's body with his green handkerchief around her neck. It was dead, in case you still couldn't guess what happened to Maria. Authorities tracked down William at Everley Grove House, which was a boarding house for ladies in Brentford. They said that he was running the boarding house with his new wife, Mary Moore, whom he'd met through a Lonely Hearts advertisement that he placed in the Times, and they quickly found pistols and incriminating letters tucked under his bed. What? Well, I tried to look into it. They might have, and this is a grain of salt thing, they might have contained warnings about the discovery of the crime or a passport from the French ambassador, some kind of evidence that suggested that William was, planning a bolt. So they arrest him in court. Her mom told the judge about her daughter visiting her from the grave. And that's when William admitted to, no. Yeah, no, I was in the barn with her. Totally. Yep, I was there. But he said he had left after they argued. He claimed he heard a pistol shot while he was walking away, so he runs back to the barn and finds her dead with one of his pistols beside her. And he pleaded with the jury, no, please, give me the benefit of the doubt. Except for the fact that they found her body with his green handkerchief tied tightly around her neck. Sure, okay. So, they were tired for about 35 minutes, and then they returned with a guilty verdict. He was hanged for his crimes. But then get this. William spent the next 3 days in prison agonizing over, this is before he was hanged, obviously, agonizing over whether to confess to the crime and make a clean breast of his sins before God. He finally confessed after entreaties from his wife, several meetings with the prison chaplain, and pleas from both his warder and John Orridge, who was the governor of the prison. Now, he'd still, up until he was hanged, strongly denied stabbing Maria, claiming that she had shot herself in the eye after they argued. So he's hanged. Then I find this fun fact out. William's body was cut down after an hour by the hangman, John Foxton, who then claimed William's trousers and stockings according to John's rights. That's right. If you're lucky enough to be a hangman and you get to claim your, once you kill somebody, you can then walk up to that body and you get to claim your right to the guy you just hanged pants and stockings. Because there is no better way to get a pair of pants and stockings but from a hanged guy, because there's no way he didn't shit himself during hanging. That is not a job perk. But the story doesn't end there, because just like today, people back then wanted souvenirs from famous crime scenes. And people from all over flocked to the Red Barn for souvenirs. Then, when they couldn't get any more souvenirs there, they went over to the body, which was taken back to the courtroom at Shire Hall, where it was slit open along the abdomen to expose the muscles, and then crowds were allowed to file past until 6 o'clock when the doors were shut. Still not done with William. They then decide to make a museum piece of William's skeleton, which is put on a display in a museum, and then get this. William's skin was tanned by Surgeon George Creed and was used to bind a book about the murder. There's actually 2 books I found out later on that were bound in William's skin. Then I find out even more details about the souvenir hunting crap that happened. Pieces of rope, which was used to hang William, sold for $1 each. Part of his scalp with an ear still attached was displayed in a shop on Oxford Street. A lock of her hair sold for 2 guineas. The town became a tourist venue, visitors traveling from as far as Ireland. They estimated that 200,000 people visited Polstead in 1828 alone to check out the Red Barn or William's skeleton or William's skin book, the Martin's cottage. So the barn was stripped for souvenirs, down to the planks, being removed from all sides, broken up, and sold as toothpicks. It was slated to be demolished after the trial, but it was left standing and eventually burned down in 1842. Even her gravestone in the churchyard of St. Mary's was eventually chipped away to nothing by souvenir hunters. Only a sign on the shed now marks the approximate location where it stood. His skeleton, again, was put on a display in a glass case in the West Suffolk Hospital. It was apparently rigged with a mechanism that made its arm point to the collection box when approached. Eventually, the skeleton was removed by Dr. John Kilner, who wanted to add it to his extensive collection of Red Barn murder memorabilia. After a series of, quote, unfortunate events, he became convinced that the skull was cursed and handed it to a friend of his named Hopkins. That's lovely. Hey, I got this really cursed skull. This weird shit's happening to me. Do you want it? I'll give it to you. Further disasters plagued both men, and they finally paid for the skull to be given a Christian burial in attempt to lift the curse. Yep. Wow. That's some messed up. Look, again, I get it. You didn't have TV back then, but that's still some messed up crap. She was a murder victim. Like, do whatever you want with his. Make him a skeleton that points at a collection box that wants money. I don't care. Embarrass his dumb ass. But don't take pieces of her hair and sell them, and don't chip down her headstone to nothing just so you can have a piece of headstone. Where are those pieces? Those pieces aren't worth anything anymore. Actually, I'm sure they're probably worth a lot if you can prove it, but how are you going to prove that? Alrighty, for these next 3, let's focus on prison ghosts. And yes, I've already talked about Alcatraz being haunted, so it's not there. For this next one, we go all the way back to January 15th, the year 2007, to HM Prison Wakefield in Wakefield, England. Now, I'm sure you remember where you were. You were probably, this is January 15th, 2007. You were probably not watching the 64th Golden Globes, where Babel won Best Drama and Dreamgirls won Best Musical or Comedy. But I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about serial killer Harold Shipman. Who? I never heard of him either. Well, here's his quick bio. He was an English doctor in general practice, and like I said, a serial killer. He is considered to be one of the most prolific serial killers in modern history. Get this. There is an estimated 250 victims over roughly 30 years. This was in 2007, people. Now, he quickly kills himself in his cell by hanging on January 13th, 2004. And that cell is where I want to start this story, because on January 15th, 2007, his cell's haunted. Roy Whiting, the killer in the cell in 2007, said he couldn't sleep due to the strange noises. He said he was visited or haunted by the ghost of Harold Shipman. He said that Harold tormented him, and frankly, you know what? Good. You're a killer too there, Roy. I don't care. But he wasn't the only one. Apparently, other people heard, other prisoners and guards heard weird stuff coming from that cell, and it's all unexplained. Good. Next up is another serial killer who became a ghost, and I'm talking about Ted Bundy. Quick bio for the one person who doesn't know who Ted Bundy is. Ted Bundy confessed to killing just 30 women and girls across 7 states between 1974 and 1978. But the exact number of his victims remain unclear, with people speculating it's probably 100 or more victims. That's right, they're still finding Ted Bundy victims to this day. A decade after he was executed in 1989, a guard at the prison told a reporter that several guards claimed to have seen Ted Bundy's ghost sitting casually on the electric chair. He smiled knowingly at the guards. If anyone tried to approach him, he would disappear. And the guard said there were so many sightings at one point that the warden couldn't find anyone willing to enter the execution chamber alone. Guess what? Kurt here. That shouldn't be an odd thing. If you do find someone that wants to enter the execution chamber by themselves, they probably have mental issues. Although, now that I'm saying that out loud, if given the chance, I would 100% do a paranormal investigation of the execution chamber by myself in hopes to see and flip off Ted Bundy's ghost. But regular people, not paranormal investigators, should not want to go in there by themselves. That shouldn't surprise anybody. But get this, that's not the only place old Ted is seen. Ghost Ted is also seen in his holding cell on death row. A guard said Ted's ghost, he said, "Well, I beat all of you, didn't I?" That's what Ted's ghost said to a guard. "Well, I beat all of you, didn't I?" Supposedly, because I was like, what the hell does that mean? Supposedly, like, I beat you all to death, to getting to the other side. Okay, good on you. Yay. The next report came from an inmate. He said, "For many years, I heard the rumors of Ted Bundy's ghost appearing, and I didn't believe it. Now my mind has changed. I and other residents, including staff, have witnessed the ghost on many occasions. It's definitely Bundy. It comes in the early mornings before dawn in our housing unit and in different cells. He's always smiling in a white-blue mist, but very detailed. Ted's ghost is busy, though, because he's also seen around the Chi Omega house where he committed the murders. And he's been spotted on the porch of the building near that university where he rented a room under a false name. Still not done, though. There are also sightings from Washington State. Maybe. Take this next one with a huge grain of salt. The Puget Sound Trail, which is the student paper of the University of Puget Sound, reported that Ted Bundy shows up there where he once attended classes. It sounds more like a hoax, though. The report states that students call him Teddy the Friendly Ghost, as well as Best Dead Friend Forever, or BDFF. It sounds to me like they're just, it's a spooky story they like to tell every now and then. And finally, in the Killer Ghosts or Prison Ghosts segment, I already forgot what I called it, let's talk about Jack Unterweger. Johann Jack Unterweger was an Austrian serial killer who committed only at least 12 murders in Austria, West Germany, Czechoslovakia, and the United States. You see, he was a journalist who covered his own murders in Australia and California during the early 1990s. Sorry, had to sneeze. Although he had a life sentence for one murder, he became a writer that was so influential, people actually petitioned for his parole. They were like, "Oh, yeah, he killed somebody, but did you read his stuff? He's such a good writer. You gotta let him out." So they let him out, and yep, more murders. And this is the point when Jack started to write about 7 of his own murders in Austrian papers, or in papers. I can't remember if it's Austrian or California papers. Basically, he gets put on an assignment to write about prostitution in California. It's Austrian papers, now I remember. He gets put on an assignment to write about prostitution in California. So he goes to California, and surprise, he kills 3 prostitutes there. It took long enough after all of this nonsense when an Austrian investigative team went, hey, the guy that's writing about these murders basically as they're happening, who we released because he was a murder that's just like the ones that are actually happening now, we think it's him. Yep, they arrest him. He's convicted and immediately kills himself. That night, though, his fiancée said she woke up and saw him standing at the foot of her bed. Kurt here, hopefully that's his former fiancée, and she didn't stay with them after he was caught murdering again. Well, this is when Kurt went down that rabbit hole, and yes, she stayed with him through all of it until she found out he was writing to other women while being held during trial. So, killing 7 women, I think it was, in a bunch of prostitutes in California? No problem. Wait, talking to other women? He's writing to other women? Nope. That's where she drew the line. She's like, no way, no how. Okay. It's a weird place to be like, that's where you're going to draw a line, but sure, why not? Alrighty, even more paranormal hodgepodge for you. Very quick rabbit hole time. The word hodgepodge originates from the Middle English word hashpot, which referred to a stew made with various ingredients. This term, in turn, came from the Old French term hochepot, meaning to shake in a pot. Over time, hochepot or hashpot evolved into hashpotch, and eventually hodgepodge. So there you go. There's your fun little fact about what hodgepodge means, because I was curious. So for the next paranormal hodgepodge, let's talk about ghosts and the law. For this next one, let's go to Tom Rivers, New Jersey in 2012 when Jose Chinchilla and his fiancée, Michelle Callan, actually tried to sue their landlord for $2,500 because they said their new apartment was haunted. So here's the paranormal news story from 2012. Real quick, I'm not going to read all of it. A New Jersey landlord has filed a lawsuit against the couple who claimed the rented Tom Rivers home was haunted. Landlord Richard Lopez is seeking damages in state court from Michelle Callan and her fiancé, Jose Chinchilla. The couple said they found clothes mysteriously ejected from closets and heard all kinds of strange noises, including the sounds of something being dragged through the basement. They even called in investigators with the Shore Paranormal Research Society, and the group classified the activity as paranormal that they didn't indicate a haunting, according to their website. However, the landlord believes the couple were actually spooked by the $1,500 a month rental fee and made up the ghost story to get out of their lease. So get this. The couple and their landlord agreed to take their case to the People's Court. Ultimately, Judge Marilyn Millian ruled in favor of the landlord, ruling that it was beyond the purview of the court to determine if an apartment is haunted. The judge ordered the plaintiffs to pay the defendant $750 for breaking the lease. Kurt here. Judge Wapner would never have ruled in the favor of the landlord, but they didn't go to Wapner. Hi, Rum. How you doing? I'm almost done. Don't worry. Not really. I got a little ways to go, but still. Next, let's go all the way back to 1919 to the case of Burchell versus Hermsmeyer in Fort Worth, Texas, when an investor named H.C. Hermsmeyer gave Bell M. Burchell, who is the owner of the Fort Worth Oil Development Company, $10,000. This guy, Hermsmeyer, made the investment based on Burchell's claim that ghosts told her, via psychic medium, that oil was located underneath her land. So he buys the land. They start to drill for oil. Not surprisingly, no oil was discovered. So he takes her to court. The court originally ruled in favor of Hermsmeyer, but in 1924, an appeal reversed the ruling, declaring the existence of ghosts is a matter of belief, not fact. Therefore, the existence of oil in valuable quantities beneath the land in question could not form a basis of relief for the plaintiff. What I'm finding out is if you want to take somebody to court for something paranormal, you're not going to win. Going back even earlier to 1910, a Texas court ruled on a dispute between a man called Alexander and a guy called Jim Nurse. Jim claimed to be a spiritual medium. A year before the case, Alexander had hired a worker to dig a new foundation for his house. But his wife started hearing all these strange tapping sounds. So he and his wife believed a ghost was trying to tell them that money was buried on the property. Okay, why? No idea. So they hired Jim, again, who was claimed to be a spiritual medium, and he said that he could help Alexander locate the money in exchange for $20. Again, 1910, $20, a lot of money. Get this. With Jim's help, Alexander was able to find $42 buried in a can. So Alexander gave Nurse $20. He's like, thank you, appreciate it there, Jim. But according to the lawsuit, later that night, Jim stole the remainder of the money. Alexander later accused Jim of swindling him, but since Jim had been the one to actually find the money, the court ruled in Jim's favor. That's a bold move there, court. Okay, well, how does the court going like, okay, he found the money. Sure, it's your money on your land, and you did hire him to find the money, but he could just steal that money, and we still gonna... That's a ridiculous... Whoever that judge was, that guy's worse than Wapner. Alrighty, up next, let's go to Los Angeles, 1927. That's when 19-year-old William Edward Hickman abducted 12-year-old Marion Parker from her home. He wanted to get her wealthy banker dad, basically, to pay her ransom. So the dad met every demand, but sadly, it was too late because William had already choked her to death. So William's like, oh, no, I still got your daughter. She's still fine. She's still alive. And he said he would give his daughter back to him if he followed the orders of the ransom. So this guy met William in central Los Angeles on December 17th, 1927. And once William got the money, he threw Marion's mutilated body out of his car. Yep. She had been significantly disfigured, her limbs cut off, her eyes fixed open with wires to make her look like she was alive in the back of the car, and her abdomen disemboweled and stuffed with rags. Horrific shit. Thankfully, William was eventually caught and convicted and hanged in 1928. That's a gross story, Kurt. Where's the paranormal? Well, her ghost has been reported multiple times at her childhood home of 1631 South Wilton Place in Los Angeles. In fact, in 1990, the Los Angeles Times published an article about her ghost. It was reported that Michelle Pelland and Steve Daly purchased and then sold the house in 1988. They said they believed the ghost of Marion Parker lived with them the entire time. They reported hearing footsteps on the stairs, finding objects displaced at times, as well as lights going on and off for no known reason. A few years later, after paranormal researchers from UCLA had confirmed a ghostly presence at the house was sold to James Stoke, who said he didn't believe in ghosts at all. He spent a decade in the house, and he said there was no eerie happenings at all. But later, after contracting to sell the house for about $240,000, and after he began packing to move to Ohio, he said, things did start to happen when I was trying to move out of the house that make me think maybe, just maybe, someone or something is in the house. He said something kept turning the tea kettle off, closing the doors he had opened, and that his dog started behaving peculiarly right when he was planning to move out. He said, maybe Marion doesn't want to see me go. All right, for this next one, I have heard from hundreds of fans of the show, hey, Kurt, how have you done over 300 episodes but never once talked about a masturbating monkey? I know. It's a good question, and it's about to be answered. That's right. For this one, we go to Dorset, England, to the Athelhampton House, which is a large estate in Dorset near Dorchester, England. It was built in 1485 by Sir William Martin. Kurt here, that's crazy. 1485. This house was built before Columbus completely found America from the Native Americans. Astounding. Anyhow, the house stayed in the Martin family for over 4 generations until 1891, when it was sold to Alfred Carte de la Fontaine. Alfred Carte de la Fontaine started about restoring the house to its grandeur past. He had the formal gardens created, which are still seen today. You can tour this place. Oh, and this place has a bunch of ghosts. Let's just get to that, shall we? First up is the ghost of the gray lady. Kurt here, you gotta have a lady of some color ghost if you really want to be haunted and have tours. You got your ladies in whites and your ladies in reds and your ladies in grays and blues and blacks and polka dots and tie-dye. Doesn't matter. As long as you got a lady in a specific color ghost, you're good for tourism. She's often seen in the grand chamber and passing through walls on the upper floor. Now, they don't know who she is, but they think whoever she was became a ghost after 1650 because her ghost is seen in the passages and the corridors of the house that were built after 1650, which I got to say is a pretty cool revelation that you can kind of pinpoint down when the ghost was, because it's got so many ghosts, but this ghost does tend to use stuff that wasn't built until 1650. Then, you got the ghost of the hooded priest. That's right. A figure in a dark hooded cloak is often seen walking down the drive and through the Great Hall. Kurt here, priest ghosts, they are right behind kid ghosts in the creepiness as far as I'm concerned. Then, this place has a poltergeist. That's right. The old north wing was pulled down in the 1800s and was rebuilt in 1920, where this new wing joins the older Elizabethan building. Well, there's a room there that has significant activity in the late 1990s. They said doors would slam, doors would lock, lights would switch themselves off, drawers would drop out of chests, beds would be stripped of their covers while occupied. That's pretty important. It's not just beds would be stripped of their covers when no one was in the room. People were on the bed, and the beds would be stripped of their covers. A door would only unlock when people asked the poltergeist nicely to unlock it. That is a cool poltergeist. They also had a bunch of the usual haunting stuff, but it's time to get to the monkey, people. It's monkey time. That's right. The Athelhampton house has a ghost monkey. I just wanted to pause that so you could hear the word has a ghost monkey. Kurt here, trust me, it gets better. The ghost is a possible chimpanzee ghost, and it kind of makes sense because William Martin and his family had a pet chimpanzee named Martin. All right, grain of salt time. I don't know if I believe this. Legend has it that the monkey Martin, the chimpanzee Martin, died of starvation when he was... Okay, Kurt here, I'm going to pause real quick. I don't think chimpanzees are actually monkeys. Now that I'm saying this out loud, are chimpanzees monkeys? No, chimpanzees are not monkeys. They're great apes. Okay, fuck. I've totally lied to you guys. I finally got you a monkey, a masturbating monkey ghost, and it's not even a monkey. It's a great ape. All right, I'm going to continue on like it's a monkey. Just let's all pretend it's a monkey. It's good enough, all right? Legend has it that the monkey Martin died of starvation when he was accidentally sealed up in a room of Athelhampton. How? How do you seal up a room with a monkey in it? Also, how do you go days without unsealing up the room that you just sealed up because your monkey is missing? You don't go, that's weird. I haven't seen the masturbating monkey Martin for a few days. In fact, it's been 3 days, and 3 days ago, that's right, we sealed up that room. Nope, can't be any correlation there. So, guest of the Athelhampton Martin today, still here scratching at the walls. And are you ready? Here it is. And yep, people have also heard a ghost monkey laughing while masturbating. Kurt here. If you gave me infinite guesses and all of the money in the world, and they said, hey, what's that sound? I would never be able to guess what a monkey laughing and masturbating sounds like. Also, who guessed it? Who was the first perv who heard that and immediately said, I know what that sound is. You guys know what that sound? That's a ghost monkey masturbating while laughing. Yep, that's what you're hearing. Ghost monkey, clearly. Ghost monkey masturbating, sometimes clawing at the walls of the room he was sealed in, but mostly laughing maniacally while masturbating. Also, Kurt here, I want to know if you spend the night at the Athelhampton, is it possible to, A, spend the night there? And if so, I call dibs on the masturbating monkey room. I want to hear that ghost. That is high up on the list of ghosts I want to hear. a maniacally laughing ghost monkey masturbating. Yep, I want that EVP, and I will play that for everybody from this point forward. Anytime anybody says, like, oh, Paranormal Almanac, I like your jacket. Do you believe in that stuff? I'd be like, oh, masturbating monkey ghost. Listen to this right here. Like, anytime I got a chance to play that, oh, I would play that. Okay. Look, there's no way to follow that one. So let's just push on with a horrific story that ends with a black-eyed child sighting. So you know how it's going to end in a minute. We go back to 1967, when Raymond Morris took 7-year-old Christine Darby of Walsall, England. Walsall? I don't know. He killed her and buried her in a ditch. Authorities then find her body eventually. They finally arrest Raymond. Paranormal time. Since then, people have reported a black-eyed girl sighting right where her body was found. Now, there's two ways that it's been worded. One is, she looks like a little girl in the 60s with black eyes. So, black-eyed child. But then there's other stories that say she looks like a girl from the 60s, like a ghost, obviously girl in the 60s, from the 60s, but she has black holes where her eyes are. And they go, you know why, right? And that's when urban legend kicks in. And they go, because that guy blindfolded her before he killed her and buried her in a ditch. I don't know. Black-eyed child, no matter what. So up next, we go to, I forgot to look up how to pronounce it, Calcasieu. It's the Calcasieu Courthouse in Lake Charles, Louisiana. No way I got that word right. Calcasieu. Nope, I got to look it up. I don't know how to pronounce this incredibly weird spelled word pronunciation. Calcasieu. Oh, it's damn close. Calcasieu. We're going to go to the Calcasieu Courthouse in Lake Charles, Louisiana in 1942. That's when Tony Jo Henry, also known as Annie Beatrice McQuiston, okay, she was a sex worker who met Claude Cowboy Henry at the brothel where she was working at, and they fell in love. Aww. They were married, but soon after the wedding, Cowboy was arrested and sentenced to 50 years for, he killed a cop 2 years earlier. Did he not mention that to you, Tony Joe? So, he gets arrested, taken to Texas. Tony Joe starts traveling to Texas where he's, being held because she's going to break him out of jail. So, she starts hitchhiking with the help of Harold Finnan Burks, and they get a ride from a car salesman, J.P. Crowley, and they pull a pistol on him, force him to strip naked, and, quote, tormented him before Tony Joe shot him to death. They then take his car to a roadhouse, start drinking, and they just start telling anyone that will listen about what they literally just did. So the normal people at the bar go, oh, wow, neat. Oh, you just did that to God? Oh, really? Tormented him and then shot him in the face? Oh, excuse me one second. I'm totally not going to call the police on your crazy a-holes. And then they called the police, and the police came and arrested them. And, well, it doesn't go well for Tony Joe because she became the first and only woman executed in the electric wheelchair. Yes, the electric wheelchair, it's more of it's a for everybody electric chair. No, the electric chair in Louisiana. Boom, ghost time. Again, first and only woman executed in the electric chair in Louisiana. There, I said it clean in case you guys want to cut up these episodes and make it cleaner. So her ghost is said to still haunt that courthouse in Louisiana. Her husky voice can be heard in the halls. And, well, maybe this one should have followed Martin the masturbating monkey ghost, that is, because, well, people say you can still smell her distinct perfume and, more often, her burnt hair from the electric chair. They said, well, if something goes missing at the office or something gets misplaced, it's an automatic blame on Tony Joe. Sometimes our front door as you come into the mortgage department of the courthouse will just lock. It's always Tony Joe. Lights flutter, the smell of burning hair, and other things. If you worked in the building, those things you take for granted. There are cold spots here or there. There are spots that seem to be a little bit more active than they should be in terms of noise. That's gross. One of my least favorite smells is the smell of burning hair. And now you got ghost smell of burning hair? No, thank you. Alrighty, keeping it random, keeping it hodgepodging. Let's talk about Deborah Tabman's oldest cat, Wiggy, who sadly passed away. Deborah called animal communicator Sharon Callahan, hoping Sharon could contact Wiggy. And, well, Deborah said, quote, Wiggy and I had a very close relationship, and I felt as if I had lost a child. He had seen me through a marriage, divorce, other relationships, 3 house moves, and other life experiences. Sharon was able to connect with Wiggy and told Deborah Wiggy was concerned about her apartment because it was, quote, a toxic place. Cut 2. About a year later, Deborah decides to paint her apartment, and that's when she discovers asbestos and crap tons of toxic mold in the walls and the ceiling, as well as frayed aluminum wiring that was about to set the whole place on fire. Deborah said, to this day, I can't believe how accurate and true that reading was. All right, and look, all's well that ends well. If it was Wiggy, thank Wiggy. This next one, though, I'm way more skeptical of. Norelle Box, who is a jeweler in Australia, had just lost her black cat of 15 years, so she goes to a psychic. She said, the medium did not know that I had a cat who died. When I rang to book the appointment, I spoke to her husband. He just gave me an appointment time, a date, a time, and the address. He didn't ask for any details. Kurt here, except probably her name. Or he got her phone number and then found out her name that way, which gave them enough time to search social media, and I'm sure there was a post about her cat that died, or at least a crap ton of pictures about it, but let me continue. She said, when I arrived on the day of the appointment, the medium opened the door, and the first thing she said as I walked across the threshold was, oh, look, there's a black cat at your feet. Those were the first words she said to me, and that was the first time we had spoken. I looked down and I saw nothing. I was speechless, but it's great to know that they're still looking after us and keeping us company. Look, I really, really, really want to believe that there is no way the psychic could have known, and it was indeed her cat. I am not belittling these stories at all. I want nothing more than to have some random psychic or random person come up to me out of nowhere and say, Stitch says hi. I would burst into tears instantly. Sticking with dead pets, though, for one more, it's a quick one, then I'll change the podge. I'll mix up the Hodge with the podge. We go to Robert and Kathy Simmons' dog named Hobbs, who passed away while their son was at university. Kurt here. Let me tell you that my brother had a dog named Hobbs that I got to take care of for a few years, and I loved Hobbs. He was such a good boy. Okay, back to their Hobbs, though. So the son returns home from the university, and they haven't told him that Hobbs had died. So they're like, okay, now it's time. He's back home. Let's tell him. So they sit him down, and they say, I'm so sorry, Hobbs died. And the son replied, no, that's impossible. He was just here, and I just patted him. God, I want that one to be real. I really, really want that to be real. Okay, gear switch. Let's talk about people ghosts that, like this dickhole from France. This people ghost time, we're off the dead pets for a bit. You made it through that. Don't worry. On his deathbed, William of Most Years made his wife promise she would never marry his mortal enemy. He said that if she did marry this man, he would kill her. And he pointed to a nearby grinding mortar he said he would use as the weapon. So, guess what happened? Yep, she immediately gets engaged to that dude. And, now again, this is like old-timey, Victorian time stuff. Here is the quote. Before the very eyes of the wedding guest, the spirit of the dead man raised the mortar and brought it crashing down on the wife's head. Although the crowd all wished to fend off the blow of the mortar, they could not see how it was lifted up to fly through the air. Look, all I'm saying, in his defense, in the ghost's defense, he did warn her. Look, marry anybody else. Just don't marry my mortal enemy. And if you do, I'm going to have to kill you with the grinding mortar. That's her fault for being like, all right, I'm still going to marry this guy. How good looking was that guy where she was like, yes, my husband said he would come back from the dead and murder me with a grinding mortar. But, you know, you got that D. I don't know. Okay, time to Hodge hardcore for this next one. We go to St. Catherine's Court. Built in the 16th century, the mansion was originally home for monks from the Bath Abbey. But we're not going back to the 1500s or anything. Nope. We go back to 1997 when Radiohead recorded OK Computer there. That's right. In a 2017 article in Rolling Stone, Tom York said this about that 1997 recording there. Ghosts would talk to me while I was asleep. There was one point where I got up in the morning after a night of hearing voices and decided I had to cut my hair. I cut myself a few times. It got messy. I came downstairs and everyone was like, are you all right? I was like, why? What's wrong? That's when Phil gently took me downstairs and shaved it all off. Which made me wonder, was it the ghosts or was it because Tom York's eyes don't play well together? Maybe he's just really bad at cutting his own hair. Have you seen that guy? His eyes are, he's not focusing on the proper things. No. All righty, next we go to 2002. Let's call this the last one because my dinner's slowly getting cold. I had some of it, but it's slowly getting cold. So we're over an hour. Let's call this the last one. Lisa Poslins was working late at a real estate office when she was attacked, raped, and sadly murdered. Sad for all of it. Sadly attacked, sadly raped, sadly murdered. Janitor Rui Mark was questioned, but DNA tests cleared him. But before he left, he said the ghost of Lisa appeared to him in a conference room and pointed to a black table. And he goes, that's when I remembered that the former janitorial employee, Nelson DeJesus, always wore black to work. And police discovered he'd been harassing Lisa for a few months. Nelson's DNA also matched the evidence found at the scene, so former janitorial employee Nelson DeJesus was convicted of her murder, rape and murder. All right. The reason I wanted to have this one be the end is how good is Rui at charades? Okay, he sees a ghost. The only thing the ghost does is points at a black table, and he's like, wait a minute. Former janitor Nelson wore black. Let's go get him, cops. Also, who was the police officer who listened to Rui and went, yeah, okay, let's go get Nelson then. It's got to be him. She pointed at the black table. He used to wear black? No, we got to go get him. So not only is he good at charades, he's great at convincing people to do stuff. Incredible that he put two and two together and they didn't immediately go, all right, obviously Rui Mark is got to be in it with Nelson. There's no possible way that he put two and two together that are very unconnected dots, and he actually got us a conviction. I call bullshit. But apparently, it was her ghost. He saw it. She pointed at a black table. That's all it took. And they got their man. All righty, again, let's just call it here. What do you guys think? Tell me, which did you prefer? Did you prefer the Paranormal Hodge or the Paranormal Podge? Also, are you a celebrity, and would you like to be on my 300th episode? I'm taking open submissions for big names to be on the podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Kurt Samigan. This has been another edition of Paranormal Almanac. Enjoy your dinner, your breakfast, your morning, your day, your night, if it's winter or if it's summer. Stay safe. I love you all. Healing off. So,